Hello, I'm Noel, this is Antonia from Boxtail Soup Theatre Company, and this is the next episode of our weekly vlog, our Boxtail Scoop. Somebody's actually voted in favour of that dance come physical interpretation, so it's staying for now until we hear otherwise. We have, first of all, I guess we've had some exciting news this week that we hoped was coming.
But we weren't sure.
No, we weren't entirely sure. So we have been working on this show on the basis that we'd be performing it this Christmas at the Everyman Theatre in Cheltenham. And of course, with the current lockdown restrictions and so on, we weren't sure whether it was going to go ahead or not. And we heard yesterday, in fact, that it is going ahead and this show is now on sale. So if you're anywhere near Cheltenham for Christmas, I can't speak this morning.
Apparently not.
If you're anywhere near Cheltenham for Christmas, then you can come and see the show. So that's good news. Yeah. Meanwhile,
I've finished the hair actually for all of the puppet heads now. So I've been busy doing that in the first part of this week. So this is one guy here who you may remember from last time. I'd experimented with a rather elaborate moustache. I gave him a more sedate one. I gave him nice sort of slick grey hair and a very neat grey moustache. He's supposed to be, I think he's going to be a rich man or a businessman or something like that.
Like I was saying, I can imagine him with his briefcase.
Yes, exactly.
Very much the part.
So that's that one. And then I've also done Topper's hair. You'll probably remember this guy, this crazy faced guy, who I've given sort of slightly foppish hair. I quite like it. It was a little bit Hugh Granty. Not that he looks anything like Hugh Grant. Hugh, if you're watching, don't worry. So that's him. And obviously I've put eyebrows and everything on them as well. And then finally, oh, he's not going to stay. He's really, there we go. Finally, this lovely little lady, I've given her some nice wavy locks. This will be Scrooge's little sister, Fanny. So I've given her some nice wavy locks and added a couple of little bits of flecks of the slightly lighter colour, which I think helps to soften it.
Yeah, this is lovely. And basically, you had to build that up layer by layer.
Yes, I did, layer by layer. But we won't talk too much about hair this week because this week is about puppet bodies. I think we've titled it Puppet Bodybuilding. And Noel has been very, very busy building the puppets' bodies, which we needed to make in a way that they would be kind of almost like a production line in the end, because there's so many puppets. We needed a sort of template that then you could make multiples of relatively easily, and then we will dress them obviously over the top of that skeleton.
Yeah.
So
they've got to be consistent and they've got to be easy to make. So the first thing to do really was to figure out a rough template, which then I based all the other bodies on. So this guy here, this is old Joe, and I put this together to this extent in order that I could then build all the individual parts for the rest of the puppets, knowing that basically it worked and it hung together. So I don't know whether to show.
I think we'll show the
parts first.
So the first part, in fact, though, is the bit that goes onto the head, where the body has to then hang from.
Yeah.
Which, when we first started making the puppet heads, really, because we didn't really know what was going on and we were kind of just trying to plough ahead, forge ahead making puppets, we hadn't actually properly considered, I suppose, exactly how the bodies might hang off. We knew roughly because of our Gravedigger puppet from Great Grim Tales, who is made in a similar way. So basically, Noel then devised this little thing which goes on the backs of the puppet heads, and the ridge at the top here is to support a piece of ribbon that then goes across.
This thing here.
Yeah, across there. That stops it from slipping off and then hangs down nicely, which is basically the same as the back of our Gravedigger puppet from Great Grim Tales. So you discovered that quite quickly, didn't you, that you needed?
Yeah, I mean, I knew roughly what I was going to be making for it. And the other thing is, although it might have been easier in some ways to build that in from the beginning, it means that you can't alter the head then. You can't alter the depth of the head. No. You can't change a lot of things about it. So really, it's not worth trying to put it in at the beginning until you're certain that you're happy with the size of the puppet and you don't want to extend the back of it or anything. So yeah, that's how they sit in there. And then the ribbon that you can see that's making up his neck there will go over the back and it will hook in behind that thing, and that thing will prevent it from sliding off.
We also put a Velcro underneath the ribbon to attach it to the loop there so that it doesn't fall forward either.
And that's important for another reason as well, which we'll come to in just a second. Then these are very basic. This is a very small body, because this is for one of the smallest characters, possibly even Tiny Tim, I think. These will make the shoulders, as you can see here, and the ribbon just goes through these two holes at the top and then fastens underneath. It's not very fancy, and obviously it's not as attractive a finish as you've got on the actual puppet heads, but obviously the only thing it really needs to be is resilient, so it's a very tough card, and strong enough to stand up to, you know, to multiple shows, because it's all going to be hidden underneath costume. So long as it's neatly done and it's, you know, it's strong.
Sturdy.
Yeah.
It's made out of Ariel washing tabs boxes. We actually don't use Ariel pods anymore, but they're
No.
from when we did.
Well, I think we got these boxes from someone else, but the card is really, really strong because it's double corrugated and laminated together. So perfect for the bodies. So then if I pick this guy up here, the other challenge that you face with them then is that because the body here is suspended from the head, and it's worth mentioning that there is a certain trick to that, because obviously you can't just suspend the body from the bottom of the head,
No.
because the lower jaw needs to be able to move freely. And you don't really want to pin it anywhere. If you put it on the top of the head, then you have weird problems with weight whenever you try to move it. So the idea of that little arch is that actually the weight of the body is resting on the top of your hand. So while you're holding the puppet's head, then across the back of your hand, that's where you're taking the weight of the body. And what that means is, because the ribbon's stuck down, you've got control over how much it tilts. And that's important, because otherwise, when you lifted up one of the arms, you're going to unbalance it very easily. Whereas actually, with these ones, you know, that's controlled to some extent. You still have to watch out for it, obviously.
And it does help once the costume hangs off it. It gives it weights it, and so it wants to pull downwards rather than to the sides. But his arms are then made of cardboard tubing again, which Noel has then used some sort of gaffer tape joints to make them bend at the elbow. Shoulders are attached with ribbon in order to give them a nice amount of flexibility so that his hand would reach his mouth, for example.
Yeah. And we make a little bit of the upper arm, rather than just extending the ribbons all the way down to the forearm.
Yeah.
We make a little bit of the upper arm so that it fills out some of the costume up there.
Otherwise it sort of goes limp.
Yeah, it just looks empty. It looks like there's nothing there. And I've used two pieces of ribbon here of slightly different lengths. So the inside one is slightly shorter, and again that's to make sure that it hangs in the right place. So the outside one is about a centimetre or so longer, and that means that it doesn't just swing into his body. It kind of sits in the right place.
And then the hands are, as you can see, pizza box card, and we've gone for a representation of hands. They probably won't be sculpted in the same way as the faces, it's not necessary. But for him, because he in fact is seen kind of collecting together Scrooge's belongings once Scrooge has died, we wanted to give him a nice bend to his hand so that he could hopefully then scoop up things with those hands. We'll give each puppet a different hand depending on what we want them to be able to do with it.
The hands will be covered.
They will, with papier-mâché.
And they'll be, you know, sculpted a little bit more, because obviously they're on view all the time.
Yes, but
the rest of the arms won't, because they'll be covered.
we usually cover up to about the midway of the lower arm, because just in case when the shirts of the costume slide up or anything like that. Also it gives it strength.
And then the only other thing really that we might add, depending on the individual puppet and what they have to do, is a few kind of, I don't know what you call them, but I use a flat piece.
Like discs of card really that are, they're sort of rounded
Ovals.
off. Yeah, almost, aren't they?
To make up, a bit of the inside of the body so that it fills out the shirt potentially, only if it's necessary, because it does add more weight.
Yes. So we'll see. That'll be dependent on the puppet and how much they have to do within the show.
Yeah, but you'd have maybe 2 or 3 of them suspended just to fill out the shirt. So yeah, there we go.
So it's great because we were pleased. You're never 100% sure whether these things are going to work or not. You have an idea, and obviously we've made puppets before that are similar, but the template body, he works. So now it's just a question of making lots more, which we have been doing, and we're hoping that really by next week we should have all of bodies attached, and I might even have started on some costume ideas to go over.
Yeah, it's really exciting as well, isn't it? Because every stage is exciting because you see the face and you see the character come out, but then to put the body on, and when we were having a little practice in the mirror, and just playing with him a little bit, and the expression we could get out of him, the movement, is it's really lovely. It's lovely and exciting to see them come to life at each stage. So I can't wait to put some costume on and see how he goes.
So again, if any of you are near Cheltenham and would like to come and actually see the show, we're on there in the main house from the 19th of December to the 31st of December. Socially distanced audience. Obviously, they've taken lots of very careful measures to make sure that it's all COVID safe. So we would love to see you if you do live anywhere nearby.
Yeah. In the meantime, thank you again for watching, especially if you've watched all the way through. And please do like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave us a comment, let us know what you thought. That would be great. It helps get the video seen by more people. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.